Alright, so today I'm going to talk about my time at the Citadel Military College in South Carolina. Let me close the window. Alright, so right now I'm in New York City, and the subway is right next to the window, so it's really loud. Not a big problem, but just wanted to put that out there. Okay, so I attended the Citadel Military College of South Carolina from 2012 to about right before 2016, so it was 2015. So I was there 3.5 years, and I want to talk about basically just my time there. So the time that I was there, at the end, I ended up getting expelled. I was expelled from school because I was placed on a weekend duty position. Basically, we have to make sure everybody stays in the school. The school has very strict rules and stuff. I didn't want to do it. There was a big party that weekend. Long story short, I let a couple freshmen stay off campus, and they got busted. So in turn, the school was like, well, you're the ringleader of all this stuff, so we have to we're gonna expel you. So I went through this whole scenario where it was a really interesting scenario because I had an honor trial. The school has an honor code. You can't lie, cheat, or steal. And basically, they were saying, the administration was saying, according to the rule book, you can't be kicked out for this stuff. And I'll get into why this is all important later on in the video. So in the rule book, it said you can't be kicked out for this stuff. And when I say this stuff, I mean specifically letting the freshmen stay off campus. Okay, so I had an honor trial. I was in the end found not guilty when it came to the honor trial, but then according to the rule book, they pretty much went back on everything and said, well, we're going to expel you anyway. And the reason why was because not because of the actual rules, but because they wanted to pretty much make an example out of me. Now, the school was having a lot of issues with people staying in the school, and I was notorious for leaving school when I wasn't supposed to. But basically, this was a situation where I was sort of baited into it, and pretty much the school took advantage of that and said, this kid, he's a troublemaker, and we're going to make an example out of him. So the reason why this is all significant is because around the same time, there was a big scandal going on at the school where there were these kids. I mean, the school's all sorts of scandals, all types of like hazing incidents and stuff. I never took part in that stuff. Like if you get alcohol violations, or like you're drinking on campus, or you get caught drunk downtown, you get a DUI, whatever. Or if you get caught like beating another kid or something like that, then you get in trouble. You can get kicked out that way, or you can get punishments. A lot of people who hold rank there get in trouble for that, and there are also racist incidences there. So around the same time that I was going through this case, a big thing happened because some of the kids decided they were going to dress up in Klan outfits. And it was a huge deal with the surrounding community down in Charleston. And Al Sharpton came down to the campus. I remember that. And at the time, my family was we were talking about this stuff, and they were saying, you should go and explain your case. And the reason why, they saw it, I didn't. They were saying that it doesn't make sense for them to be. There is some unfair treatment going on here. So I chose not to pursue that, like going and speaking with Al Sharpton and stuff like that. But after everything was said and done, I did speak to some people that heard out my situation. And the reason why I'm making this video now is because I think it's important that people know my story. Um, when you're, I was inside the school and saw a bunch of stuff, and it really sort of like shaped and molded who I became later down the road. Um, I was the first freshman to do punishments at that school after I was falsely accused of something that I did not do. Um, I thought that was completely unfair. And it really, I think from that point on, other people at the school, they told me that from that point on, you changed. And I didn't see it, but definitely over the course of my time there, things progressively got worse. Lots of incidences with hazing happened. People were quick to like call you the N word. There were Nazi flags there both times when Obama got elected. Students dressed up in Klan outfits and stuff. Like you would go into certain rooms and you would see like a swastika in the room and stuff. And people just say like, don't worry about it and stuff. And if you were black and you wanted to, there were two segments, well actually three. There's black, female, and gay. If you were gay, you were gonna have a bad time. If you were black, like we had a black organization on campus, and whenever we met, they would say, you guys shouldn't meet. They would discourage it. They would just say like, don't do it. You're dividing the companies and stuff. But there was indeed racist stuff that was happening, and it was important that we did meet so that we could talk about certain issues, especially if cases like pretty much everything I just mentioned occurred, because you need someone to talk to. You don't always have your family. Um, there were situations where you couldn't have your phone, especially like during Hell Week. They call it Hell Week. I think they changed the name of it, but that's the first week that you're there as a freshman where they shave your head and stuff. They shave the girls' heads. The girls cry when they lose all their hair and stuff. Um, just as a historical point, women weren't allowed to go to the college until 1996. And I don't think the first black guy went to the school or graduated from the school until like the 1960s. And fun fact about him, he was tortured while he was there, and never he didn't speak to anyone. He moved out to Texas, didn't speak to anyone, and he died in the fire in his own house. And just as a history, there's a book about the school. It's called The Lords of Discipline by Pat Conroy. There are many other books. I happened to read one book, I think about a year and a half ago. It was all about, I guess, the origins of the school and how it was made to put down slave rebellions. So I was sort of baited into going to the school. I always end up in these weird situations, but I ended up going there for a car. Never really wanted to be there. Whenever I could get off campus, I did. I was always out. The car was like the main point for me. I'm a car guy, so whenever I could get off campus, I would go out, hang out with my friends, or go on a date with girls, etc. And yeah, that was my life. So I mean, I had some good times there too. Don't get me wrong. I met some good people there. But I wanted to share this because I want people to understand how racism is sort of intertwined with military culture. Not everyone is racist, just like not all police are racist. You have, I mean, one of my friends, he told me this saying. What is it? It's the badge doesn't make the man. The man makes the badge. The badge doesn't make the man. The man makes the badge. What does that mean in regards to police officers? And again, I just want to reiterate, you know, I'm talking about the sort of intertwining between military culture and racism. So, what does that saying mean? It means that when you put on a certain uniform, your mentality dictates, how people are going to perceive you, how people are going to perceive that uniform or that badge. Uh, in other words, if you're a racist person and you put on that uniform, people are going to say, or if, let's say there are a lot of people, there's a group of people and they're racist and they put on a uniform, people are gonna say, they're racist. So that the point of what I'm saying now is to say there are good people. I met good people too, but the culture predominantly was this way. And so I was expelled, and the kids who dressed up in Klan outfits and caused this huge controversy, they ended up being suspended. So they were able to come back to school. It's about 4 years later in 2020, and I ended up getting admitted into the sister college of the Citadel and was actually threatened with death and prison time while on campus and had to leave school again. Otherwise, I would have ended up in a situation where I would have potentially lost my life or worse. So that's why I'm in New York City. Um, so this is kind of just a story about my time. I want to know what people think about this. I know that my story is not unique, but I just think it's important to put it out there. Um, I saw a lot of things there. There were situations where I was threatened, and there are other situations where, if you're a black person, there were black people that excelled there. I knew like black company commanders and stuff, but things were really political, and it's easy to. There were definitely people who were there that, like, I mean, there were definitely black people that were there that did not like other black people, and that was very strange to me. People would say certain things, and I'd be like, "Oh no, they're just joking. They can't really think that way." But it's serious. I had one guy. He was like, he said when he was a freshman, they made him sing slave songs and stuff, and I was like, when I first came there, I was like, "What the like that? That is too much." Now, my parents, they told me, they said, don't quit. So I lasted 3.5 years. All my friends, for the most part, unless they were in the upper echelons of society, sometimes even if they were, for the most part, everyone that I hung out with, they ended up being kicked out of school also. Um, I was one of the last people in my group of friends that was able to stay in school. A lot of people don't make it. But the problem is that the school had a tendency to use the honor code as a weapon against uh, certain cadets, specifically black cadets and athletes. Also, if you were black, and you passed the person of rank, they would automatically ask you if you were core squad. What that means is, um, do you play a sport? And after a while, it gets really annoying because what they're doing is they're saying, if you're here and you're black, you must play a sport. Otherwise, why are you here? So these are all little things, but after a while, they build up. Especially if at some point in time in your career there you get called a nigger, which does happen. And they'll say certain things to try to get under your skin. They know who you are. They know where you come from before you get there. And it's important for me to share this information because as a black male in these times that we're living in, I I mind my business for the most part. But I put these videos out there because I want people to be aware. And especially like with the current administration, I don't spend a lot of time in DC. I'm not friends with Trump. I didn't go to any Trump rallies or anything like that. But the behavior of certain people is concerning to me because I'm looking at the situation and I'm thinking, are they weaponizing the U.S. government? But at the same time, there's all these other things going on. And again, I just want people to be kind of aware. I knew other people that went to school there. There was one guy. There was a specific case. He there was a case in the Post and Courier, Charleston Post and Courier, and this guy ended up. He was a football player. He's a black football player. I knew him. He lived in Charleston, and he ended up killing both of his parents. I thought at the time, I heard about it. A lot of people heard about it. I thought it was weird. But there was one thing that really struck me, and that was that one of his family members said, "Oh, he had schizophrenia." And again, I knew this guy. This guy was normal. He didn't have schizophrenia. But the case was weird because he got expelled from school and he ended up going to Coastal Carolina, which is about 2 hours away in Myrtle Beach, and he ended up selling drugs, and he got arrested and they got him on a small pistol charge and small possession charge, and then he went back to Charleston with his parents. So later on, he started to express frustration with his circumstances. He felt like he wasn't in a good place in life, and his parents felt that he was ungrateful for the things that they provided him, and he was running down the street, or not running down the street, but he was in the streets saying that he needed help, and nobody would help him. And so he went to a local clinic, and one of his family members just said, "Oh, well, he had schizophrenia or whatever." Now he's in prison. Why does this stick out to me? It sticks out to me because I was put in a similar situation, and it just really bothers me that, like, I see a lot of similarities between mine and his case. Like, I've had my family members turn on me, and I've had police say that I could be shot by my neighbors after I try to leave my parents' home. I've had police, express that they could pull their weapon, and I was like this. And there was a situation where they said, the first thing they said was, well, let's just take him to a mental institution. So long story short, I did end up in one, and the doctor was like, there's nothing wrong with you. But I think it's weird because of that case with him, this other guy that I knew. And again, I went to another college, and I'm actually going to post another video, some footage from that college. But I was threatened on campus. I was threatened with prison and death on that campus. One of my roommates is doing the same thing now. And just based on the times and the fact that someone else was gunned down, I think that's weird. I just reminded my mom about the Sandra Bland thing and how she was found dead in her cell after she was pulled over by the police. And it's concerning to me because I like to keep the peace. I enjoy peace. I enjoy feeling like my life is my own, and I'm at ease. I can have faith in our government, that our government will protect me and all of its citizens at all times. But as someone who came from a military college with the history it has and the culture that it has and still has to this day, I want to put this footage out there to let people know that they should not be lulled to sleep or be naive. With that, I'm going to put some edits into this video. I still haven't learned to edit videos completely, but let me know what you guys think. I'll try to produce some better content and get better at editing these videos. Alright, I'm off.